Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode, I'm going to be playing fortune teller. These are 7 things that I believe are going to be happening in the Whiskeyverse this coming year. Run the video. All right then folks, thank you for joining us for another new and very exciting episode here on the Whiskey Cove, where I'm going to be talking a little bit about some market trends, some stuff that I believe might happen this year. We're going to try to do this maybe once a year, and maybe at the end of the year we'll do another video to look back at how right or wrong that I was. So I'm sticking my neck on the line here, but yeah, it's just a little bit of fun. So with that being said, number 1 is going to be, I believe, the Wild Turkey Rare Breed, the non-chill filtered, this bottle, or now they've changed to a new packaging, which is this bottle, will be a massive hit this year. It is already a big hit with those in the know, but it's going to become something that everybody's aware of. So this is the kind of the older bottle that they used to have. And then they've recently switched to this one. So it's all exactly the same stuff. This one just looks more like the traditional rare breed. So what is different about this? So this is the travel exclusive Wild Turkey Rare Breed. This comes in a 1 litre and it is non-chill filtered. Same ABV, same proof, and that's the big takeaway here. This is non-chill filtered, and there is a big deal between this and the regular stuff. It's around the same price. It probably is better value for this. As I said, it is travel exclusive. So where can you find it? So you might be able to find it in some airports here in the US of A. I know as of this writing, you folks at home have been telling me where you've been seeing this. I had someone who told me that you were able to pick it up from Sydney Airport in Australia. I've had also Dusseldorf as well, and I've had the London Airport. So really, anytime you're traveling, go to the duty-free shops and go over and take a little look and see what they have, and you might be able to find these bottle of whiskies. If you're able to get them, I would say even pay up to $100. They're that good. I paid $100 for each of these, and I would probably do it again. Heck, I have a few over my shoulders here. So that should tell you everything that you need to know. I'm drinking a lot of whiskey in the 1 litre bottles. You get that little bit more for your money. That was the Wild Turkey non-chill filtered travel exclusive. So as we're making these predictions at the beginning of the year, I'm working really hard again on my wellness and fitness, and with that, today's video is sponsored by the one and only ZBiotics. ZBiotics is the world's first pre-alcohol probiotic. It's something that I've been using because I do a lot of whiskey videos. I do a lot of bourbon videos, and the next day I don't want to be stuck on the couch. I don't want to have a rough next day. So ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make ZBiotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you will feel your best tomorrow. Go down below in the description and use my link to get 15% off your first order. Use the link down below. Support this channel by supporting my sponsors. Thank you so much. Number 2 on this list, and that is going to be Buffalo Trace's expansion. So if you don't already know, Buffalo Traces have done one of the most financially biggest expansion, I think, in the history of whiskey in general. They've spent a ton of money expanding how much whiskey they're putting out. And we are definitely starting to see a lot of that stuff come online right now. If you've been following a lot of what Buffalo Trace has been doing at the distillery, they've been putting out different bottles of whiskey that they've never been putting out. I've seen them put out the E.H. Taylor 4 grain, and this means if you go to the distillery, you might be able to have a chance to buy this. The El Matili 100, some Weller full proof as well, and I think that is going to continue this year. I think for those of us who are able to get down to Kentucky and go to Buffalo Trace Distillery, we might be able to get something really special. And with that, then putting that special stuff out to the distillery, that might trickle out here to the rest around the US. We might start seeing these harder to find E.H. Taylors, these harder to find Wellers, El Matili 100, maybe more of this like commemorative bottles. So with all this new stuff coming online and this massive expansion that Buffalo Trace has done, long are going to be the days, I think, coming this year that you'll struggle to find Buffalo Trace. Hopefully Eagle Rare will be more the shelf sitter this year. So number 2 was Buffalo Trace's expansion and that impact that it'll have this year. Number 3 on this list, and this is a big one, and I feel quite strongly about this one in the way that I feel that this year liquor store prices for allocated stuff is going to go up again. So right now we're approaching what I say is kind of like the eye of the storm here. People aren't buying as much liquor, as much whiskey as they were a couple of years ago. Liquor stores might be getting more allocated stuff, but because they're not selling like their everyday run-of-the-mill stuff, they're going to hold on to that allocated stuff and price it up. So this year, I feel like the prices at liquor stores for the harder to find allocated stuff are just going to go up again and again, because the liquor stores are not making as much money, and they know that they can price gouge a little bit on the allocated stuff. So that bottle of Weller Special Reserve should be around $25, $30. The likelihood is they'll probably be priced about $50. Wellers are going to be going up there in price. Like I said, you might be able to find more Eagle Rare. Maybe that could be more expensive. Maybe a lot of the Buffalo Trace stuff is going to continue to get priced up. Maybe harder to find Heaven Hill stuff. Maybe people might be, I'm looking up here because I have a bunch of Elijah Craig barrel proofs. That prices for those sort of things should remain the same, just because of the output that Heaven Hill are putting. But maybe like the more harder to find Heaven Hill stuff, like the old Fitzes and like that, the prices are just going to go astronomical at stores. So it's really like we have to work our way through the eye of the storm right now. But when we get through it, I feel like the prices will start to subside, as a lot of these liquor stores will have to kind of give away a little bit. And that was number 3. Number 4 on this list, I believe the year 2025 is going to be a massive year for the distillery Still Austin. So at the back of 2024, Still Austin released Canninger, which has been acclaimed by a lot of people around the US. This is probably the best cigar blended whiskey for some time. And they've been making a lot of big waves with their store picks, a lot of their bottled and bond ryes, and it's all really great stuff. But every year that passes, the distiller is another year older. So I think what we'll see is a lot of the stuff that they're putting out is just going to keep getting better and better. I don't want to see the prices go up too much. The Tanninger's about $150, which isn't too bad for a cigar blended special release bottle. The cask strength is pretty good, and kind of like the small batch is good. Also, like I was saying, those bottled in bond, they use like their own variety of rye there from Texas, and it really gives their rye almost like a cherry liqueur type kind of note to it. It's really strong, but it's really tasting it as well, because it has kind of the Texas spices to kind of back that up too. So I do think that Still Austin are going to be putting out some really good whiskey this year, and I think that a lot of people are going to be really recognizing them of the distillery that they are, and that the distillery that they're going to have just a great year for 2025. That was number 4. Number 5 on this list, and that is people are just going to stop paying thousands of dollars for whiskey. What do I mean by that? So at the back end of 2024, I started seeing bottles of whiskey that I'd never thought that I would see in my lifetime. So Old Fire Copper, the 2025 release, we saw at a liquor store in Denver, and that was for $4,000, and it's been there for a very long time. It's been there for a month. People are just not willing to pay for it. That's really close to MSRP here in Colorado. I also saw the Weller Millennium. That was like the blend going back from 2000 of different batches of Weller, and that was sitting there for like $6,000. So stuff like the Double Eagle Rare, stuff like the Weller Millennium, the Old Fire Copper, and also distilleries like Woodford, they put out like a 2,000 Barracuda bottle, and that bottle kind of will sit on shelves and has been sitting on shelves. And other bourbon companies that put out there really harder to find limited stuff, but are asking like $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. People are just not going to be buying that stuff anymore. There was a time where people would throw money at it because maybe they felt like they could keep it for a few years and then maybe move it on for a price increase and make a little bit of money. That's not happening anymore. Those days of people profiting from whiskey is long gone, folks. So the day of the bourbon or whiskey enthusiast is slowly coming up. Yes, we will have to go through the eye of the storm here, but in 2025, people are not going to be paying thousands of dollars for whiskey anymore. It's just not going to happen. Number 6 on this list, and that is 2025, we are going to see more bangers from the Jack Daniel's distillery. So it was a big year for the Jack Daniel's distillery. To be fair, it was a big year in 2023 and 2024. 2024, we saw the release of the barrel proof rye. What an absolute banger of a release. It was my whiskey of the year, or I should say my rye whiskey of the year for 2024. That was this guy. This is the Jack Daniel's barrel proof rye, which you can find in most stores. You know, it's starting to become more available, and we'll probably see that more this year. And also in the top 5 was this Jack Daniel's twice barreled straight rye. If they can get this more consistent and put out in bottles, hopefully this year, that will be a great release for the Jack Daniel's distillery. They put out the Jack Daniel's 12 last year. We might see a 14 or a 13 year as well. In an article, the master distiller down there, Carl Fletcher, Chris Fletcher, sorry, he went on to say that he wanted to replicate some of the releases that Jack Daniels had back in the day, which was Jack Daniels 10-year all the way up to 25 or so, around that number. So we'll see more of that released, and we'll also see some limited stuff put out by Jack Daniels, I'm sure, again, and it'll all be pretty fantastic. There isn't really a bottle of Jack Daniels that I've tried in the last couple of years that I've not really liked. So I think another distillery like Still Austin this year will have a great year, and we'll have some absolute bangers. Will be the Jack Daniels Distillery, and that was number 6. And then lastly, and maybe finishing on a little bit of a grim note here, in 2025, I think we will see a medium or so distillery close its doors. I don't like to say that, but there's a lot of kind of mid-sized distilleries that people aren't buying the whiskey from as much. I could name some names here of people who I think, but just I don't think necessarily these distilleries, but about this level is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something like High West, Smoke Wagon, maybe like a Wyoming Whiskey. I'm not saying those will close. I really like those distilleries, but I'm saying about that sort of level of distillery. I think that maybe one or two that might have overstretched, and I must preference this again. Not those 3, but something around that level, or potentially maybe one of those 3. But I'm not singling them out is what I'm saying. But around about a distillery of that level, I think we might see get in trouble this year. I don't want to see it, but it could happen. I feel like I was saying earlier on, the liquor market is slowing down a little bit. Us bourbon drinkers are being a little bit more specific on what we want to drink. So with that being said, that was my list of 7. So it's the Wild Turkey non-chill filters was number 1, and that's going to have a big year in 2025, I believe. In number 2, we talked a little bit about Buffalo Trace's expansion and how that would impact us, the consumer. Number 3 was the price increase for harder to find whiskey that we'll see at liquor stores because of the market's just getting that much tighter. Number 4 is going to be a big year for Still Austin in 2025. I feel like they're going to make some big strides, kind of muscling their way into the true macro distillery scene. Number 5 is that a lot of people are going to stop paying crazy money for whiskey. We're talking the thousands of dollars that sometimes people might pay for it. 6, we're going to see more bangers from the Jack Daniels distillery. What a great year last year was 2024. They will keep doing that in 2025. I firmly believe that. And then number 7 was, I feel that sadly a medium-sized distillery is going to run into some trouble this year and possibly close its doors. So that was the 7 kind of me looking through the looking glass of what I expect might happen this year. And at the end of the year, towards the end of the year, we'll redo another video and we'll see how right I wrong or wrong that I was. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Let me know your predictions down in the comment section below. I would love to hear what you folks have to say. If you haven't subscribed, definitely consider doing that. We are hoping maybe for a big year. Let's try to hit 10,000 subscribers this year, and we won't be able to do it without you folks at home. So smash that subscribe button. With that being said, as we drink through the world's whiskeys one glass at a time, thank you so much for watching. Cheers.